everyone. Welcome to our second episode of Me series. So, today's topic is actually about maneuvering e-learning. So, with a sudden shift of from physical interaction and physical working space, now we are now shifting into work from home due to the implementation of Movement Control Order (MCO). So, I understand that in this current situation, and definitely it's going to be a prolonged situation, it has resulted many of our organizations and many of our employers and employees trying to grasp hold of this new sudden change of online working space. So for today's episode, we have here a few very amazing guests from various different backgrounds to discuss on maybe to share a bit on how they are currently coping with this new shift from the angle of leaders and also staffs themselves, and how potentially certain of these organizations are taking new ways, new creative ideas and methods in steering to this new change. So let's start with, perhaps we can have a little round of all our panels here to have a brief introduction of themselves, perhaps like just a short one, two, three sentences to introduce yourself to the rest of us here. Maybe we can start with Navitha first.
Okay, my name is Navitha Vinoba. I'm actually the principal of i-CTI College, and I'm also managing Ocho Prima College. That's our sister company. So I'm an educator. I'm also in management.
Hi. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Navitha. Okay,
There is
moving
so much to
on.
clap.
Well, I like to clap well, after people
Okay,
introducing. Okay.
I will clap too.
Yes. All right. Maybe we can have Dr. Nisa to come in as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hi. I'm Lisa. I am from the International University of Malaya, Wales, or in short, IUMW. I'm heading the Faculty of Communication, Arts and Media, and I'm also heading the Corporate Communication Department as well. So my background is mostly on media, quite also in tune with digital and education e-learning. Uh,
Yay. Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Lastly, we have Miss Cheryl here.
Hi guys, my name is Cheryl. I'm based in India International University. I'm an educator. I teach mass comm subjects. And I also run Lift As You Rise, a platform to empower the young adults to empower other marginalized communities. Yeah, so that's just me.
Yay. Welcome, Cheryl.
The clapping thing's amazing.
The
Yeah.
clapping has started.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your kind introduction. Yes, let's start moving on, shall we? So, first things first, I just want to have an understanding of how everyone is right now coping with the change of shift of session from physical to work from home and online situation. Perhaps we can actually start with Nisa first. Want to share
Oh,
what's it going
okay.
on right now?
Oh, it's mayhem. It's going crazy. But I believe, I mean, we're going to the details later. I believe a lot of you have a lot more things to say, but we know that there are a lot of uncertainty, and then there's a lot of confusion, perhaps. But I believe IMW management is trying their best. And to be honest, even before the announcements of the RMO first, right, and it turns to RCO, yeah. So before the announcement, they have already started to have several plans in place on how we're going to actually face the issue once once it happened. But there's still a lot of uncertainty in the air. But we're coping the best that we can. But first, I want to say though, thank you, Xiao San, for organizing this. I think this is
No problem.
amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, and I
definitely.
hope
Thank you.
everyone is stay safe, staying indoors.
We're definitely trying to think of different ways of as well to reach with everyone and connect with everyone, even at such
Yeah,
times where physical interaction is a bit limited. But
yeah.
thank you for sharing with us, Nisa. Perhaps we can have Navita's side as well to share with us. How's it going from your side over there?
Okay. Thank God, like few days before, we have already prepared. We have given the assignments to the students just to make sure they are occupied for the next 2 weeks. And initially, to be honest, like last week, the first 2 days, there was like, I felt like I was in Twilight Zone. There was a lot of there was a lot of anxiety, and also, like, because we had so many things planned out and so many activities, and suddenly it's like you're in a entirely different world altogether. And it took me 2 days to actually get myself aligned again. I was very, to be honest, I was very angry within. There's so much of anger because you have so many things planned out. Everything was working smoothly,
Yeah.
and do something like this. So I realized that no, I did, what helped me? Actually, yoga helped.
Wow, that's
Yes,
good.
I agree.
Yeah, I think the universe heard my stress, and someone planned yoga, this live yoga session, and that actually helped me really realign myself, and I could really think straight on how am I going to move forward with the organization, and also how am I going to support my teammates in Auto Prima. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can hear from both of your side because you guys are heading more towards the management side of things. So I'm sure there's a lot going on because not only do you need to adhere to the top management's requirement for you to actually pass down the messages to your employees, as well as you have to make sure you stay calm to ensure that your employees won't panic like you do. I'm sure of that, right? So maybe we
No,
can
we're
hear.
not panicking. We're not panicking.
Yeah, right. I can see all of you are very zen mode right now, which is really good. So maybe let's hear from the employee side of things as well. Let's hear from Cheryl's side. What do you think about, currently, how are you coping so far? How's everything going on?
I think when it all started, I think because here in Inti, right, we actually started online classes a day before they came up with that order, and I think we are actually technically ready because we have had training in place to use Blackboard Ultra, which is what we use in campus. But I think it being ready, as in technically, and being ready for real is two different things, and that is what kind of hit all of us because we have the training, we have the software, we have things in place, but actually applying it in a situation of crisis is two different things. And like Nisa said, right, there's so much of uncertainty, and you don't know what's coming next. You don't know what's coming next, and I think the media doesn't help as well. And our WhatsApp groups, right, all kinds of things
Groups don't
coming
have.
in.
Oh my God.
So here we are trying to kind of like be strong and soldier on and do what we need to do, and we are trying to kind of go on to that normal route and pretend that everything is okay, right? Regardless, we still have to keep on working and things like that. And I think it's just a matter of us getting used to what is now considered the new normal, what is
Yes.
considered because I think Yi and I had a session with a lot of practitioners from EQ, mental health advocates in the last episode 1, talking about how to mitigate your emotions. So I think a lot of things now is just reassuring stuff that everything is okay, we'll be all right. And I understand from the Navitha and Nisa's point of view as a management, sometimes you don't have all the answers, right?
Yeah.
And the staff wants answers, right?
Correct.
And I can relate, but what I feel is at the end of the day, as long as there's some form of communication, even if it's not answers by, hey guys, everything is, we are planning something, we are working on it, just be patient with us, just to kind of relate that. And I think us dealing with our students or even trainers, learning advocates, those in L&D, learning and development, I think they are also basically having the same issues that we are having, or even businesses now are trying to move online. And I think it's even more difficult for them because some of us have already kind of done some form of blended learning or some form of online learning. For some of these companies, I think it's even harder because it's like suddenly someone has just closed the door and said, hey, this is the only choice you have and nothing else.
Yeah.
So I think those challenges are even more difficult for us in teaching and learning. I mean, we've done learning now, we're just having to move it on top. So I think definitely there's many challenges, but I think slowly we can kind of maneuver and slowly, step by step,
Yeah.
we will
But
become more
can I
used
can
to it.
I can I add on something to that? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
sure.
I would also like to add on from a lecturer or staff perspective. So I'm taking out my
She's
management hat
changing her
right now.
hats right now.
I'm
Okay.
taking my hat right now because as a staff or as a lecturer, as an academics, I look forward to these changes. Like you have no idea how excited I am not managing people, but how excited I am that I hope people see about how we have to embrace digital. We
Mm.
have to embrace technology.
Mm.
It's time for all academics to start to, I don't want to say wake up, but start to have a different mind and look at how much more technology can offer us
Yeah.
in regards to education and learning and teaching.
Yeah.
So perhaps there's a blessing in disguise kind of thing,
Yeah,
you know,
I think
looking back
I think
past.
I can kind of understand where we are looking at right now because to be honest, every institution, I believe, we are all striving towards the same goal, which is everyone is talking about it in the academic side, which is blended learning, going online, classroom, the what's that called that the shift of classroom basis and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Also, a lot of these actually, to be honest, in terms of the tools, we are actually are ready for it with all these tools that's been offered in our own courses and programs per se. It's a matter of whether are the people or perhaps are students ready to implement these tools for a long period of time instead of just class to class basis, I guess. But I think this is something that I want to actually shift to Navita to ask more about, because I understand that for Navita's case, some of the programs that they are offering are actually more practical in nature. In terms of like, some of our programs can be done online basis, no problem. But there are some uh, classes or subjects or industries wise that's very much practical basis. So maybe you can share with us how are some of the ways that they are coping with it if it's practical sense.
Yeah, actually, I'll just share our challenges and how we're coping with it.
That's great.
Yeah, you see, actually, all our programs are 70% practical. All our trainings, that means our automotive, our mechatronics, our electrical programs are all 70% hands-on, and 30% is only theory. So, to be honest, like our focus have always been not on e-learning, although we have an LMS system. That is just a minimal usage. We
Yeah,
focus more
understand.
on hands-on work.
Yes.
A lot of my interest was more on creating activities, doing community projects, a lot of face-to-face engagement and interaction, which is the core for me. And
Yeah,
all
definitely. Yeah.
that was the main thing. As an organization, we were focusing on that, and we had really strong retention rates with our methods. But now, with all this happening, it's actually shifted me within, like, hey Navitha, like, look here, you can also, you have to shift, you're
Yes,
forced to shift.
correct.
And the whole week when I'm actually strategizing, and it's an exciting experience for me, to be honest. Like, I'm forced to look into something that I never looked at, and it's really interesting now that we're brainstorming, coming up with ideas. How are we going to move forward? And we're breaking it into very small chunks. We're starting it slow, like we're
Yeah.
starting it with WhatsApp groups.
Yes.
We're starting it with Zoom app. We are starting very slowly because most of my boys are B40, and most of them stay in rural areas. So Wi-Fi is a big issue for
Mm-hmm.
us.
Yes.
Yeah,
So data, not enough sufficient data. So I can't go on with the full-fledged
yeah,
um, e-learning system. So whatever we can, we are, most importantly, what we're doing now is actually supporting them, encouraging them, showing them we are here for them. That engagement, this calling them up,
Yeah.
conversations. So these 2 weeks, what I've advised everyone is to actually engage with the students, um, show them the support, mental health.
Yes.
I think that is the big issue now that we are trying to help the kids with.
Correct.
And from there, we are slowly moving towards small theoretical lessons, first starting with WhatsApp groups, recorded sessions using the whiteboard, Zoom whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
We are planning all that, but we're only going to start that maybe after 2 weeks.
That's great. Yes, yes, understand. Definitely, I think, starting it slow and easy will definitely make it better because you need a proper planning for things like this, definitely. Cheryl, maybe you can share as well from your side. How are some of the activities that you actually have implemented for your students to ensure that they are able to be updated with the current courses and the subjects right now? Because like what Navita has shared is also very important. Not all students are able to actually access to internet or online topics per se, so yeah, perhaps you can share something about it.
I think for me, it's very weird in a sense because I'm on both sides. I'm one side like Nisa. I'm like super excited about all these new technologies. I think you personally know that I've been going on YouTube trying to learn about this, learn about that, learn about Zoom, learn about Cisco,
Yeah,
learn about what software I can use to do
yeah.
live stream. So I'm all over the place trying to learn new technologies. But at the same time, I do have that apprehension of using technologies as well because I'm the kind of person that I'm a very physical person. I'm a very social person. I like going into class. I like seeing my students. I like looking at their reactions. I like that whole physical environment. So, and all my classes are done in that very way because I teach communication subjects and my subjects mostly are final year and it's very practical. Like I teach a course called public opinion. So the entire class is about us having a discussion on how media impacts society, how news is framed, how tone of news works, and all of that requires active discussion. And there is definitely some limitations when we have moved online, right? From the software, from the Wi-Fi. Like in the beginning of this session, we're having problems with the Wi-Fi, right? Lisa, for you to actually come online, and I had the same issue this morning with my training with the staff of INTI. We're talking about coping with stress, and all that time I had my Wi-Fi going on and off, and they couldn't hear me as well. So I think what Navita talked about setbacks, now having to kind of change our mindset. I think it's not whether we want to or we don't want to. Like Navita said, we have to, right?
Yeah.
The only constant is basically change, and at this point of time, we have to change depending on the situation. Do we want to stay at home? I don't want to stay at home. I'd rather go to work, actually, to be honest, because I get to interact, I get to see my students, but that's not in our choice, right? So I think all of us now, when it comes to e-learning, whether you're an educator, whether you're a manager, whether you're running an education organization, training and development, I see a lot of coaches like I think Jonathan Lowe, for example, I mentioned him in the last session. Honey, I have a session with Honey tomorrow. They are offering coaching services. So I think a lot of people are trying to kind of shift online and doing what they can. And I understand, Navita, from your side, especially it's tough. So we work with what we can. What we
Yeah.
can do, we focus on that. And the rest, we can slowly deal with it as we go
Yeah,
on. And I think
yeah,
that's what a lot of corporate organizations are doing as well.
yeah.
And I think Lisa, the fact that you're an educator first, from what I mean, I don't know that, but from what you tell me, you come off as a person who's educator first, and then you're a manager. So the fact that you understand that from a staff's perspective is really helpful to
Yes.
people like me because then that shows a very strong and positive work culture because I know my boss is going to be there for me. I know my boss understands where I'm coming from, what I have to deal with. I mean, like Navita was mentioning at the beginning before we started the session, right? That she has like kids. So she's holding her phone, and doing the session because you never know when your good kid's going to come and interrupt. So having that understanding that while we're doing these e-learning sessions, there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be interruptions. Like yesterday when I was doing my online session, my daughter was around.
I think
She's 2 years old, yeah. So
Yeah.
everyone here are having our super mummies who's actually doing it, seriously.
Yeah,
All of them
like
have their own distraction of their children as
I'm
well.
trying to keep my two boys downstairs right now.
so yeah, I mean, I think that's how we are kind of going through with the setbacks, and I think it's all a matter of how we frame our minds. And like Navita, it's just a matter of aligning ourselves.
Yes.
So it's going to take some time for us to align ourselves and say, hey guys, yeah, this is the new normal for us. How are we going to cope with it? We can do it together. Let's start step by step. For some of us, it's moment by moment, right? Not
Yes.
even step,
Yes.
moment by moment.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's what I think.
That's thank you very much. I think maybe instead of besides shifting from the educational part, maybe now we can try shifting it to the management part as well because I think I have gotten some recent interesting idea from Nisa's side, because she just shared with me this morning that they're doing open day,
Yeah.
for students to, to get students in, and they're doing it for the first time digital version. So maybe you can share a
Wow.
little bit, and you can share maybe this a great
Yeah.
idea for the rest of the management people to
Yes.
think about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, um, yeah, like what I said. I'm excited, and when things come in and unexpectedly, so you gotta like think, okay, perhaps now is time for us to take advantage of these things. Yes, you see. So hence, digital open day is one of the things. So we usually do physical open day, and things has been planned. So the marketing we have like this. Our head of marketing is Leighton. So she's and I'm also head of the communication. So the marketing and communication have to work really closely with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hence, so they're saying about we can't stop open day. I mean, business has to run.
Yes,
Business has to
definitely
run. So
from the
we
management side.
Reality,
Business has
right?
to
That's
run.
reality.
okay, so
Yes.
so I keep on telling my team, I mean, Cheryl mentioned about having your teams back. So this is, I mean, yes, I agree with that. So bosses need to have your teams back. You kind of like need to support your team, whatever you do. And same goes with the team. Team need to support the initiative that the boss is trying to do. We have to all remain relevant. Relevant is very important. If you're not relevant, nobody's gonna, you gotta stay relevant in whatever situation you're in. So digital open day is one of the things. Remain relevant. We can't go out, fine. We can still reach you in some other way. So we have this digital open day. We have videos recorded. We have this campus tour, and some of the, I think about 5 or 6 videos we recorded on the last day of before the quarantine is on.
Mm.
So I have to pledge my team for that. For actually, my team did an amazing job to gather all the information that we need to create a simple page of this digital open day, because it was really quite last minute. But we got to do it, and then it's on tomorrow until Sunday, so everybody can look up our digital open day. So all the counselors are ready to counsel people online. And what do they need? Do they need to know our campus? We have all on videos. You need to know about our programs. We have all the videos from the lecturers online. Do we need to know about all the materials that you need to know about the universities? Everything is online, so we're already there for you. And my teams created only a week to create all of this, pull all of these things together, because we do not want to cancel the open day, and so we're not going to cancel the open day. That's one thing. Another thing on a management point of view is that on the day of the quarantine, so I'm also heading the communication, and as what Cheryl mentioned, we're all very hands-on people. We do events, so we do talks and talk shows and podcasts and so on and so forth. People who give us life. We are alive because of people. So what happened is, on the last day that I know that we're gonna be on quarantine, I said no, things are not gonna go quiet just because we're in quarantine. So, and my faculty, or the short for that is FCAM. So I was telling all my FCAM team, your students are all doing final year project events. Turn all of that into digital. So hence we come up with 21 digital campaigns coming up in April,
Wow.
May, from FCAM. So all these 21 projects are actually a physical project that they plan to do, physical events. And I said, turn it all digital and promote it, and shout it out. So yeah, so all our events and our talk shows and everything, all are gonna be on digital. So yeah, we have 21 digital campaigns coming up
Wow.
and things like that. Because why? I mean, we don't do this for fun, man. I mean, it is fun. It is fun for me, but we do it because we have to remain relevant. We have
Yes.
to
Yes.
stay relevant.
I think
So
that's a very strong point there, to remain relevant,
yeah,
especially at such time as well. And I think Navitha can also share a little bit on this, because she did mention that i-CTI is just going to start their May intake soon. So perhaps you can try to shout out a little bit about what are your plans, perhaps, to move forward on this, and hopefully still remain relevant, and still getting more people to actually getting the progression still running on from your side as well. Could you
yeah,
share
Okay.
a little? Yeah.
Yeah, like with my marketing team, what we're doing now is we're still continuing with all our sales, telesales, and we're sending out offer letters. We're actually getting people who students who still want to register. As
Wow.
part of Yeah, and it's amazing. So we are giving out offer letters, and my team, what they're doing the counseling sessions through Zoom. It's the
Ooh.
first time.
Yeah.
Yes, the first time
Mm.
they're doing that.
So it's
So
still a
they're
live
very,
face-to-face thing,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
They have, they have not used the app before, and it's nice. It's a whole lot. It's a whole new experience for us. And also, one day before the lockdown, we actually planned a marketing campaign video that requires 3 days. Like the first phase, second phase, the third stage would be actually going to Pujo and doing a live shoot there. And what happened was we somehow told no way we're going to stop this. So the day before we managed to do everything one whole day, and we managed to finish it
Yeah.
from
Wow.
morning to evening. So now the voice over, we are trying to figure out how we're going to do it, because one of the person is in Johor, the boys are in different states. So we're still going on. But you'll come up with some creative ideas. The videographer is thinking of
Yes.
how to work
Definitely.
above all this.
Yes.
So we are still moving. But it's really fun. To be honest, I think if our intent is very clear, that our intent is for the students to still continue to enjoy learning, the intent is for students to be happy, then somehow I think we will come up with something to keep going. you know of course the stress and worries will be there, but we have to support each other. So I'm so glad we have these discussions. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think
Definitely.
I think it's extremely amazing how what Nisa has shared and what Navitha has shared about, just the day before, you have to kind of scramble on and do everything, get everyone together. And I think when conflict occurs and crises occur, that's what happens, right? Human beings come together, and we can see that on LinkedIn as well, right? Everyone's kind of coming together and saying, hey, if you need help, reach out to me. I'm going to offer my coaching services. I'm going to offer this. And everyone is kind of trying to help in their own way. And I think us as educators or people who are doing teaching and learning and development, they are all trying to kind of give their input as well. And I think it's amazing to see people kind of coming together in this time of uncertainty and crisis. So there is something
support.
beautiful about this crisis as well, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
brought everyone together. And like you all said before, maybe we've never would have thought of doing it this way. Like, I mean, who would have thought of open day, doing it in that way? But now, because we have been pushed, we have to kind of reinvent how we do things. Maybe it's a different platform, but I mean, I still think human connection is so important. So maybe the counseling thing is amazing, because you are still having that human voice, you're having that face to kind of connect with. Like now, I feel like I know a little bit more of both of you, because I mean, I follow both of you on LinkedIn very actively. Yeah, I'm always on LinkedIn. So I follow both of you, but it's so nice to kind of see your face. And even though we're not meeting face to face, it kind of um, allows us to maintain that human connection.
I wish I get to see the full face.
Sorry, Lisa.
But I agree. We do have, the registrar at IUMW was, facing challenge. I think registrar in every other university is facing challenges. So the fact that, for an example, we are not licensed for full-fledged online, so and and we have B40 students, as also like what Navitha mentioned. So yes, we part of me is excited with all these digital things happening and digital campaigns and stuff like that, and see how things are gonna change rapidly. But there's also some part of me that's also questioning and concerning about, okay, so we gotta be fair for those who do not have access.
Yes.
It's not like right now I can still talk to you, even though I only see you half face, or half eyes. But there are others out there who are not very fortunate, that they
Yes.
can't even
Yes.
access to these certain things. So the management have to, on our end, we also kind of like think, Madam Hasni, the registrar of IUMW, she's going to think about how, okay, now next we need to give extra care for these students who are not going to be able to, get access to this for this during this quarantine week. I mean, it's about a month. And hopefully it doesn't extend after a month. People are going to go crazy.
Fingers
But yeah,
crossed. Fingers crossed.
yeah. So, but after they're gonna be quite set back for this 1 month. So I felt, I it's really hard I don't know. I feel so like, man, like I just hope there's internet everywhere. I just hope there's internet everywhere because over here we're like, okay, we can't stop because the world's not gonna stop, you know. So we have to keep on going. But
Yes,
at the
you are
same
right.
time, we don't want anyone left behind. But
Left
there are
behind.
still some that's going to be left behind. So we're like,
Correct.
how do we take this person come with us? So I guess we have to go here. But the moment the RSO stop, and then we bring them, come on, and push them forward. So that's the strategy to bring them forward, and so I'm sure Madam Hasni is thinking about something, and I'm just gonna here to support
Just
whatever
to
decision she's
share,
making.
just to share some positive sides. I've got parents calling me and telling me my son is finally, because my boys are very naughty. They, they hardly at home. They're always, with their rampage and this and that. And parents are actually quite happy that the children are actually at home and spending quality time. And
Wow.
even the other day, I just went out because we had to get food supplies, and I
Yeah.
actually saw my neighbor boy doing house chores. So
Wow.
right, to
Wow.
learning is actually happening. We don't see it.
Yeah.
The living skills, students are learning living skills, if they can go through this phase and come out of it, they will definitely come out of it stronger.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
They need to learn to be resilient, disciplined. Like my boys, the biggest challenge for me is discipline and obedience, because in the automotive industry and manufacturing industry, the main thing is attendance and discipline. And now they are forced to stay at home.
Yeah,
If
that's
you look at
good.
it this way, it's like, because I've been calling the parents and talking to my students. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at the positives, instead of getting stressed up and thinking, I'm not getting my learning across, we are not doing enough for the students. But then I'm thinking that, hey, they're still learning, but maybe in not the way that we expect them to learn. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think this is very good take because I think at the end of the day, even though we are not seeing each other physically, the interaction are not done in a physical ground, but I think the connection still has to be there. The connectivity still has to be there. I think everyone now really needs a great positive support and positive, encouragement in order for them to get through with this day by day. I think that is very, very important as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, perhaps maybe this is just for the everyone here to have a thought, and perhaps you can share a little bit about your prediction in this coming new future. If after after this whole MCO restraining order has been removed, do you think that there could be a shift of change in terms of a management system or working system from moving forward from now? So what do you
Yes.
think will be
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes.
any ways you think that what are the prediction of what could have changed or what would be changed after this?
I mean, I've just gotten a message this morning itself, while preparing ready for this forum. I've just gotten a message from my Vice Chancellor, Mr. K. Luan. She's already talking about, okay, now it's time for us to think about IMW beyond 2021. So not even beyond 2020, beyond 2021, because he's feel like because of whatever happened, things are gonna change. So think about more technology enabled, more about system and so on and so forth. So I feel like change is going to happen, and it's time that, like as I mentioned from the beginning of this session, I said that we need to embrace digital, we need to embrace technology. There's no way going out anymore. So that's the way moving forward. Things are gonna be more. That doesn't mean that we're gonna lose human touch. I mean, look at us. I met two new person today, so
To do
we're not
half
gonna lose.
person today.
Yeah, half face person, not faceless person today. Yeah, but we're not gonna lose that human touch just because we use technology, because we're still people after all.
Yes.
But some good things are gonna change. Things are gonna change for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I think that in terms of our work, the way we work, the whole idea of what is work, how work is done, the whole idea of that will kind of change because I think one company that's been doing that very well is NSE. It's a social media manager. They basically manage social media accounts for companies and organizations. So they've been doing that for quite a while now. And companies like Kushbu's Beyond 99, they have been doing this for a while. They do have online remote from work. And for them, it's not something very new because they've been doing it all along.
Yeah.
And they have kind of shown us that it's possible. And culturally, we are not so accepting of, like, every time someone wants to have a meeting with us, we want to kind of see them face to face. It's always that need. And he was just sharing on his profile the other day that this the guy who runs NSE, he says that, when people want to meet us, we say we'll charge you if you want to meet us. Then they say, okay, then we can meet online. And they realize that we can also meet similar objectives by being online. Not
Yeah.
everything requires face to face. So I think
Yeah.
that's going to kind of shift the way we look at work. And we're not going to have unnecessary meetings anymore where someone comes and sits and tells you, do this, do this, do that, do this, and waste like precious time. I think we'll be more cautious about our time, right? Like, do we need
That's the staff point of view. Unnecessary meetings.
do we yes exactly do we really need that meeting? Like, another thing also is, do we I think the understanding of trust with your employees will also change. Maybe, I'm hoping at least, that bosses, managers, organizations will trust their employees more as long as their deliverables are met. It won't be about how much, hours we punch in and punch out, like 9 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, but it'll be more about, hey, what goals have you kind of met in that 8 hours that you're supposed to work, for example? Can you meet the goals? And I think this is a very Asian perspective. We expect people to clock in that 8 hours. If not, we think they don't work. In foreign companies as well as overseas, it's not about how many hours you work. You can work for 3 hours if you can get your work done. I'm fine with it. So I think the working culture in Malaysia especially will definitely change because the trust will change. More employers now, they are forced to trust their employees. They don't have a choice. So because they're forced to trust their employees, I'm not saying they're not going to be slackers or people who are going to take advantage of it. Definitely anywhere, anytime, there are going to be stuff like that. I have to admit, there will be stuff like that. But what I'm saying is how the company or organization approaches this issue will be different. It's not going to be a one blank, like, okay, we're going to stop giving you all work from home or flexible hours because one person or five people have done it out of 500. It's going to be, okay, I'm going to deal with this particular employee. So those who can deliver, those who can kind of meet those targets, I think the way bosses, organizations, even staff looks at it is going to change. And a lot of us are going to come out from our comfort zones. Like I said, personally, I wouldn't like to have to work from home all the time. But it would be nice as a working mother to have that option of working from home, maybe twice a week, maybe once a week, slowly, gradually, but still have physical, because I think the physical is also still very important. But having a blend of that can actually give a lot of work-life balance, integration, and can kind of make our lives a bit more enriched, I feel. So depending, of course, on the position that we're in and what we can contribute, I think it's going to have a whole mindset shift in terms of how bosses look at things, how staff look at things. And I think, like Yi was saying, actually, for me and her, we think it's a lot more work to work from home, to be honest. There's so much more preparation, so much more preparation, right? Even though there is some form of flexibility. Yeah, so that's how I think managers or bosses, organizations, whether in academic or non-academic, I think we are all going through the same thing. And organizations that said, I think Faz Kamarudin said this sometime. She says that people who said that remote working won't work will have to kind of eat their we all have to kind of eat our words and say, yeah, it does work. It might not work for all situations, but it can work. And a lot of us will have to kind of step back and say, okay, yeah, we were wrong. Yeah, we should open our mindsets. Yes, we have to be more flexible because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. Navitha, you have anything to add from your side? What do you think? What do you think is going to be the shift for your organization after this?
Actually, I totally agree to what Cheryl just shared. Like, honestly, I've always been for remote working, as in just a blend of both. Like, I feel there should be flexibilities for staff. And at least through this experience, if we actually plan it, strategize it well, and if it goes smoothly, I'll be able to convince the management that, to allow flexible hours, because I really believe it's not the number of hours that you clock in.
Right.
And I see daily, you can be still productive with 3 to 4 hours. The output is still the same. And I think for me, I do have some flexibility in terms of compared to others. And when you are happy, naturally you become more productive.
Yes.
And I wanted that for everyone, because being at my position, I have the flexibility and I wanted that for my team as well. So moving forward, if we actually do this right, I think definitely my management will listen to us, my top management.
Mm.
Yeah. So that is something that I'm looking forward for. And one more thing as well, I've always been a fan of flexible or blended learning. And but I don't know, somehow I get so much of there's this mental block about e-learning. I've always been like Shadow. I love to be with students face to face and show them the care. And I think I'm a bit more open, and I think we have much more options now.
Yes.
And this will definitely change in our delivery after this is over.
We
I'm
will not go
sure
back.
in
Yeah.
terms of working hours and also how we deliver will be totally different. We have more options. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad to hear that most of our management panel here actually agreed in terms of flexibility and emphasizes in terms of productivity instead of clocking in 9 to 5. I'm so happy to hear this because I really hope that this will
I hope
actually
my
be
top
a
management will be happy
Yeah,
too.
I
yeah.
must say though, no, I must say though. So I feel like for me, yes, I always mention that. In fact, I just talked to one of my team. He's a very hardworking person. He stay back until maybe 8, 9 o'clock at night. And none of us stay that long. Usually, I'm the last one to leave the office, maybe about 6:30 or something. But he will stay back and do the work. But I keep on mentioning to him like, just because you stay back, that doesn't mean that that's the criteria that I'm gonna assess you on.
Yeah.
Someone can actually go back at 4, and then but he got all the things done. He got 8 courses done, and he got these things published, and that and that and that. And someone actually, someone might say, "Oh, sorry, I have to leave early because I'm gonna go and meet my spies." I said, "Go ahead. Have you done the things?" "Yeah, I'm done the things." "Okay, go ahead." So I said, like, it is not about how long you stay, because I appreciate the effort, but it is in the end what output you give. It
Correct.
goes back to that, what output you give. So I appreciate the effort, but it still goes back to the output. So but I do understand on management side that no, but
Oh,
you gotta be fair, because we know
Yeah.
that yes, there are one or two that will take advantage of a situation.
Definitely.
And I'm not saying that that's gonna be 100% gonna take advantage, because for me, even this is quarantine, I told my team, okay, daily just give me updates. That's it. By at the end of the day, just give me updates. What have you done? So, and then that's all I need. So as long as you give me updates, you keep me connected on what you do, that's fine. But there are one or two that will take advantage, and then so it is truly up to the management, how up to the bosses, how can you deal with this one or two stuff, but not to. I agree with what Cheryl said, not to standardize the whole everybody else depend on because of this one or two. But looking at the company itself, you got to scope about how many percent is this one or two.
Yeah.
You get what I
Yeah.
mean? So if we're talking about less than 5%, fine, that's great. You can trust the 95%. But if you don't trust 95%, if you only trust the one or two is about 40%. So that's quite dangerous path to take to give such flexibility. So
Definitely.
yeah, so it goes back to the stuff on what can you do to gain trust. What can
Agreed.
Yeah, what can you do to gain trust? So have you completed the materials? Yes. Is there any complaints against you from students? No. And then so I have what kind of activities have you come up with? And did you do it well? Okay, perfect. So you got the trust. You know, but if there's only one or two that can trust, and the rest is still mediocre, so it's quite dangerous as well. So I think there's a lot of challenges to say, because
I
I'm sure we have a lot that's actually I can trust you, and so on and so forth. But there are some that that they will
yeah.
take advantage. So we gotta look at it on both eyes. So
wow.
I think at this point, from the perspective of a staff, I think it's an amazing time for staff to prove themselves during this
yeah,
quarantine time about
yeah,
what they can do and what they're capable of doing. and to kind of
Correct.
earn the trust of their employers and their organization to say, hey, you don't have to babysit
Correct.
me. I'll do my work, and not only
Yes.
I'll do it, I will do it
I'll do
well.
it well.
And
Yes, exactly.
and
So
you will
I
be
agree.
proud of me because you won't have to kind of like worry about me because here I'm being an adult and I'm doing my work and I'm doing it well in my best capacity and I'm giving 110%. And I think this is an opportunity for all staff out there to take that step to prove to your boss, prove to your organization, but most importantly, prove to yourself what
Correct.
you can do and what you can deliver. And it goes, it's bigger than us, bigger than ourselves, that we
Yes.
can contribute in a very meaningful way, because like what Nisa says, right, it's a two-way street, right? It trust only works if both sides, right? So you
Yeah.
can't expect your boss to trust you if you've not given them a reason to trust you. Same like our parents, right? When we were younger and we want to go out, first your parents will give you timing and things like that, but as you get older and you earn their trust, my mom will say, yeah, fine, just check in with us and tell us where you are. So I think the same thing works with an organization. You need to prove that you can do it. And I plead to all the staff out there, please use this as a platform to show your capabilities and what you can do for the organization, because I believe in doing, I always believe this, right? When an individual does well, it doesn't reflect this on them but on their organization and vice versa, right? If the individual is doing well wherever, whether outside campus, whether outside of your company, it reflects on your company. It's like your parents, right? Whatever you do reflects back on your parents. Oh, Lisa's parents will say, you see, or Navita's, it reflects back when your kids do something, it reflects back on us. So same
Yeah.
thing with an organization. I feel it's very important for the staff, from my perspective, I feel very important for us now as staff, whether you're in academic, whether you're in manufacturing, whether you're in sales, to prove that, hey, I have this, you can trust me, you can give me ownership, because ownership doesn't happen unless you provide that trust. And I think, of course, there'll be a lot of barriers to break culturally, because like when I worked at the hotel line, right, I finished work at 5:30, I end up going back at 9. And sometimes I'm sitting there not because I want to, because it's an expectation that the longer you stay, that means you're working hard. If not, if you punch out at 5:30, they're like, you're going back so early, even though it's on time. So I think sometimes it's also that cultural kind of barriers, like in hospitality when I was there, it's that cultural barrier. And I think that this quarantine is an excellent opportunity for us, one, to break that cultural barrier, two, for staff to prove that, hey, you can trust me and I can work from home, or we can work on flexible hours because I've proven that this is something I can do. And yes, I also hope, like what Nisa says, the percentage of those who can do and do well will be so much higher, I believe. Not, we won't have all the converted, I'm sure, yeah,
Yeah.
with anything,
Yes.
but I'm hoping that the percentage will be much higher. So we'll give that opportunity, like Navita said, when people are happy, they produce better. When I'm happy, I produce better as well. And I feel being at home the last few days, sometimes I tell Xiao San, because Xiao San and I work together, and I say, sometimes when I go back late, I feel very guilty to my daughter, but sometimes we got projects to work on and things like that. And I feel guilty. But now that I'm at home, anytime I can kind of go and check on her. After I finish this meeting for 10 minutes, I can go check on her and come back. So it makes me feel very happy as a parent as well. And
Yeah.
it's a very comfortable feeling, being able to do my work well, at the same time being able to be a good parent. And I think a lot of parents, especially the women folk, feel guilty when they go to work and they leave their
Yes.
kids and things
We
like
do.
that.
We do.
So the flexibility, I think, would help with that as well. But like Nisa says, we need to, I mean, I need to prove myself, we need to prove ourselves, all of us need
Yeah.
to, so that, like Navita said, when they go to the board of directors, when y'all go up to your management, you won't have to plead, you won't have to ask. They will already like, yeah, that's a good idea, let's go with it. 2021, 2020, moving on, this is something we need to look at. You won't have to really convince them, because they already be converted because of what's happening in the landscape. I'm hoping that that will
I'm,
happen. Yeah.
I'm truly hoping that. And don't stay silent. There's some like what have you been doing? Actually, I have been doing a lot, but there's no communication. Like, oh,
Yes.
I wouldn't know. So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
here and you're there. So don't ever say silent, because it's like, oh, I don't want to show.
Update.
This
And
is
some
yeah.
some might say that I don't want to show off what I'm doing. It's not about showing off.
So
It
this is
sounds
what
much
Cheryl has really taught me about
yeah.
to stay prominent and especially in the eyes of your bosses.
Exactly. You have to because I'm not I you can't expect the boss to reach out to
Know
you.
everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you gotta be the one to show, hey, I'm working on this, and that. So if you stay silent, the boss not gonna know anything. So
Yeah.
so
Just
and
check.
yeah, about the flexi hour, I'm holding the Kwan Nick, the head of IUMW, and the head of HR, human resource in IUMW. I don't know what she's gonna think about it.
We should actually get a HR person to actually join us in future for our next talk in hopes that
Yeah,
hopefully
we
they will give
should.
us
Yeah.
about what
Yeah.
is going to be the prediction of what's good outcome for us in future as well,
And their
right?
perspective as well, right?
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
I have been from the management side as well when I was running the teaching and learning department in KL. So I know the kind of challenges that we go through as management, and being a staff as well. I've seen the challenges as well. And I think going back to what Navita said much earlier, right? Besides the challenges of working from home and stuff like that, Navita was saying about the B40 students, right? Um, us being able to reach out, and today even my boss mentioned about us being careful when we're teaching, because not everybody can access that, and we don't want anyone to kind of feel left out. We don't want
Yeah.
to kind of create a division between the haves and the haves not. So
Yeah.
what can like me personally as a staff, what I've been doing is I've been personally reaching out to my entire class. All I teach about 5 6 subjects, and I kind of have been communicating with them, asking them, okay, what kind of connection do you have? Can you access this? Can you access that? What is the best platform I can put it on? Because I know, like, you use your handphone, sometimes data, right? YouTube you can view for free, and there's no cost on you as well. Like, how many of them, like most of them have mobile phones, for example, our students, right? So if they want to access things, they don't have Wi-Fi. What's the best option that I can put out that material there? How can I, if I'm going to run a live class, how many can actually participate? Or is it better for me to pre-record? So I think checking up not just with your bosses and letting your bosses know, but also with your students or your maybe your clients, your as a coach, if you're looking with your clients, checking up with them and seeing what is their challenges when it comes to using stuff online now, or can they even go online? Some people might not have Wi-Fi, or like in my house, I don't even have phone line, right? Downstairs, if anyone calls me, you can't get through to me. It goes straight to voicemail. So some of us even have problems with our phone line. So understanding
Wait,
what
phone line? Who use phone line? Sorry.
yeah, that's why I have to use WhatsApp all the time. So
Hello,
someone called me
hello.
on
Very
DG
different.
yesterday, right? They
Okay,
couldn't get me
very
at all.
different.
Yeah, so I mean, these are potential challenges that our students or staff or anyone might have, right? We might assume everyone has internet at home, but not everyone does.
Yeah,
In some countries, like in my husband's country in Ghana, people don't have Wi-Fi at home. Why? They say they go to work from 9 to 5. They have Wi-Fi there. When they come home, they want to spend time with their families. They don't need Wi-Fi. So I'm sure a lot of them are having a hard time now because they have to rely on data, right? But
Yeah.
not everyone. I think in Malaysia, a lot of us do have Wi-Fi at home, depending on where you live and your state, and which area, whether you live in the rural areas or not. But we cannot assume, as most of us are middle class, so we just assume everyone has Wi-Fi and
right.
everyone might have access. So I think that's being very mindful of us to understand that, like what Navita said, being sensitive to those who don't have access. What are some measures that we can take, or like Nisa saying, how do we like bring them forward? You see,
Yeah,
if they have kind of been left behind during this time. So
correct.
I think, I mean, there's also phone calls. There's so many other ways as well we can communicate with them,
Yeah.
uploading stuff, written stuff. So I think at this point, I think everyone should just try our best and be mindful with who we're dealing with, so we know the challenges, and just be sensitive, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to
Navitha,
share,
anything? Yes. Please do
yeah,
share.
yeah. Been calling my boys. I told you we've been doing this B40 project, and most of them are they live in very small homes, like flats, and they're cooked up in that surroundings.
Yeah,
Because yesterday when I called them, most of them are bored. They're bored. So and they don't have like strong Wi-Fi connection to go. They
yeah,
don't have laptop, so
yeah.
they're always on their phones. So thankfully today morning, one of my friends, she called me. She said, let's do something for the strays. And can you hook up your students? Because a lot of now we're all in, we see a lot of strays outside, not enough food. So these are the little things that I think we can engage our students, which I'm doing. I mean, we are doing at our side. So one of the plans that what I'm thinking of is actually getting the students to be involved, so that keeps their mind busy.
Yeah.
They don't get bored,
Yeah.
and they are not looking at their problems anymore. So they will get to look at what's going on outside other people's sufferings, and they'll be more selfless. So this is something that you're working on, like on the stray dogs project. And one more thing that we are going to give our boys is to reflect this 1 week, what things they took for granted, like things that they have taken for granted, and how they can be grateful for all the things that they have now. So all these little things are just to keep them occupied and also to keep them grounded until they're a bit more settled.
That's
So
a
yeah.
yes, that's a very, very good idea, actually. I think this is something that we can actually all learn in as well, or put it, implement as well for our students, to have them, even though they are constrained, you should keep them with their mindful mind more occupied with more things to think about and more things to look into. So I think developing projects right now will be very, very good as well for them. It could be individual, it could be group, but to have them to do something, at least keep their mind to preoccupy their mind with more things. I think that's very good initiative.
Yeah, because at this moment I can't go full fledged. We can't do full
Yes.
fledged training at the moment. And we also need to train them. You see, like our boys, even when they started training, we had to teach them basic. They don't have laptops, so we had to actually teach them basic Excel, basic PowerPoint, So now the main thing will be teaching them how to use the Zoom app. We
Yeah.
have to go back to basics first,
Yeah.
get them comfortable using the application, and then move forward. But now, just to keep them occupied, because they're really, like, imagine, in a small room, in a small space, and they're going mad. And they,
I think not only they are going mad, I think I'm going mad as well.
so yeah, the thing is, when we come up with these exciting things and we get them involved, they feel that they are still contributing, and they won't feel that my problems are the biggest problems in the world, and they're actually looking at, hey, a lot of people, I'm actually having it good, a lot of people don't have the comfort that I'm having. So this is what we are trying to do, at least for the next 2 weeks. But for the teaching and learning, we're still strategizing, but we're going to take it slow and steady.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you
I
so
think
much,
I think that's
everyone.
a great
Yeah.
idea.
Thank you so much,
Definitely.
everyone, for your time. I think definitely this session has been very, very insightful, very helpful. I see there's a lot of suggestion coming up. I see a lot of feedbacks and opinions coming from everyone. So I think this is a very good session to help out. We really, truly hope that we will have more of you guys coming in for our sessions. Right. So I will just try to wrap up today. So some of the things that we can take note, we can take back with after this session is some things that has been highlighted. Like, for example, Nisa has said something like to remain relevant with your goals, to remain relevant with your intention of your message, so that it will keep you intact with your goals in mind and your progression of your work. And also, like what Navitha has mentioned about, to be clear with your intention, to be productive as well and generate interesting projects even when they're doing at such time. So this is definitely something that I think everyone is, trying to come up with very good strategies to, keep themselves occupied at such time, as well as still be productive, as well as still be progressive with whatever that you're doing right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time and for your effort. I truly hope that we have getting something from here. Yep. So please
Yes.
do keep in touch as well. So hopefully that we can always update ourselves on what's going on with each other. I think, like I said, connectivity still is important. To generate the connection with each of us and to meet new people through networking, and that is also very good as well. Thank you so much for
Yati,
your
do
time.
you have any questions, Yati?
Hi guys. I'm listening your conversation, by the way. I don't want to turn on my webcam because I'm not yet ready like you when you guys are dressed up.
Hello,
So
Yasti. What dress up? We are all very casual here, okay?
no, later on you say, Yati, better change your clothes. Okay. It was a lively, lovely discussion. I'm listening from the beginning until now without any disruption.
Whoa.
Wow.
Any
Whoa.
questions you want to ask, since we have management people here? You are dying to know what are their thoughts about?
That I'm okay. I'm scared to ask a lot of questions, but then
Yeah, no, safe space, safe space.
I'm dying, by the way, sitting in front of the laptop, but not because of your discussion, but me myself handling with a lot of things like recording for online teachings. And I'm blessed because I'm still single, but I do have a lot of things that I need to do for groceries, for instance, tomorrow. Thinking what to eat, thinking what's diet, thinking of yoga, everything. And Navita, you did say about yoga. Yes, I do agree. It is actually helps me to reduce stress, but at the beginning it doesn't because I feel stressful and feel painful. And I'm trying to adjust to myself that I got it. Dr. Nurul, I love to I mean, like I've got one of the idea that you gonna do a, we call it online or digital campaign.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, which I am facing right now. I've got with trouble because my students need to produce a documentary PSA. We are now doing for the Shared Prosperity, and I'm doing with the PR lecture as well. Therefore, while taking shower, it's time for me to. I mean, the idea came during taking shower time. I don't know what happened to myself. So I feel like, okay, Yati, it's time for you to change the idea instead of continuing with this PSA methods or documentary. You need to ask them to do something that reducing stress, how you reduce stress during the quarantine time, get the, I mean, how you attach your loved ones, something like that, you know. So I need to change my idea, but I'm not planning to run any digital campaign because I am very bad in digital.
We
I
all
am
learning,
stuck.
Yati. We
Maybe
all learning.
you can keep in touch
it's
with Nisa. Yeah,
yes,
come
it's
close.
Yeah,
time. It's time to what bad with digital, right? So it's time to not be bad with digital. It's a
yeah,
perfect time to learn. It's a perfect time to learn.
yeah.
Yeah, see,
I
very
mean,
good. That
Cheryl,
maybe perhaps you can share with you know, you can personally message Nisa to share some
Sure.
additional ideas of how to get this campaign
sure.
going as well,
Sure,
definitely.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Cheryl and Susan, for invited. I mean, share the links for me to join you guys for the discussion. It's
Yeah, thank you so
lovely.
much for joining us as well.
No
Okay, everyone.
problem.
So please do keep
Yeah,
in touch. I think next week we're going to have another series coming up soon, which is hosted by Cheryl, right? So yeah,
right.
I think that one has to do with, maybe you want to share a little bit about next week's one, or you know.
Yeah, next week we're doing episode 3. We're going to be focusing on internal communication. We're going to talk about how important it is for organizations as well as staff in terms of communication, written communication, spoken communication. What can be done during this crisis? How we need to be careful about what we are saying, how we are saying it. If we are saying anything, important to actually have a direct line of communication. And I think this time, because like you said, there's a lot of uncertainties and things like that. So what can from the management side as well from the staff side can be done in terms of communication and how important it is to kind of relate to staff what's going on even if you don't know what's going on, like how do you kind of keep them in the loop, update themselves like Nisa was saying from the staff side as well. So we're going to look at that specifically. We're hoping to bring in some people from the corporate com side, PR, HR perhaps, you know. And I think today is an amazing session. It was very interactive because we've done one before. I think it was we were still kind of figuring out the format and things like that. And there was a lot of people, so it was a bit more difficult to manage the moderation and discussion. I think this is a perfect number, including the moderator. 3 people, I think, is a very good number for us to work with. Easy to have more interactive. I think it was very interactive between us all, and we managed to speak. So I'm hoping that you guys, if you all are free and available, join us, or anyone else who didn't catch this live feed, we are actually going to upload it. I'm just editing, learning how to edit, like Anissa says, learning new things.
Yeah.
So
It's time to
I'm not
learn.
very good at editing, but I'm learning how to edit and getting my husband to help me because he also does editing. So getting him to help me as well, and we're actually editing the first show, and it should be up very very soon. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
So
stay
stay
tuned.
tuned.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you
yeah.
very
So
much.
much, everyone.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Keep safe. Stay at home.
Bye.
Bye.